All right, we got Tom from Maryland calling in. Tom, welcome to Stay Paid.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man.
Dude, we are doing fantastic, Tom. It's great to have you on the show, man. Love having you on. I would love to, so you're in real estate from Maryland.
Yep.
Would love to hear from you. You're obviously trying to grow your business. And what are the big pain points, or what's the question that you are trying to answer in your business to go to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that right now that we're looking to do is kind of just hone in on basically like referrals from clients and then our sphere of influence and stuff. I mean, we pretty much do a lot of events, videos, open houses. We're trying to get away from those paid lead sources, but it's kind of one of those things, like a double-edged sword.
Sure. Yeah. What is the struggle right now? Like, so you're doing a bunch of good stuff, but what's like the real pain point, or what's the frustration that, man, if I could just solve this, or this is what I want to know, am I doing right?
I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like right now you don't know if it's working until you go back and actually get through. Like, I think right now it's like my head's down. I'm driving, doing all the lead gen activities, do the follow-ups, do my daily tasks. And then, I guess time flies. So when you actually review it quarterly, biannually, yearly, whatever it is, and you see that it paid off, that's kind of when I realized, like, okay, that strategy did work. It's just taking that leap of faith and saying, you know what, I'm not going to spend money on, on my leads, and I'm going to actually allocate that money back to referrals or clients.
Nice. And Tom, are you on a team? Do you run a team? Or you're independent? What do you do?
No, I'm on a team. So there's a team of 5 of us now. I'm a partner, so I ended up was on a bunch of teams, but basically me, my wife, and then a couple friends.
Okay,
Nice.
gotcha. Very cool. What was your production last year, and then what are you tracking for this year?
Yeah, so last year was 34 units, right over I think 11, 12 million.
Okay.
And then right now we have 8 units closed for me personally, but I have 2 basically investments that I'm working on, so it's kind of keeping me a little bit more busier on that end than the residential side.
Do you have a specific goal in mind for this year?
A lot of my goals, honestly, are based off of not closed units, but volume. So
that's where it should be. That's where the money is. Closed units means nothing.
Exactly. So that you do 100 units and do 30 million, or do 10 units and do 30 million. Either or.
Is your pain point that you're doing all these things? I'm trying to understand the pain point, but you're doing all these different things, and you're trying to figure out, are you putting your money and time into the right area? Like, is that the pain point for you, of just like, hey, I have all these things, I feel like it's going well, but am I missing something from a lead gen strategy? Like, is that the big question?
Right. Yeah. I mean, essentially it is. It's like, I have a couple, obviously, colleagues and friends that actually I play ball with and stuff. And they're a big team out in Morgantown. And they were telling me they were cutting their spends back from $8,000 a month to $4,000. I'm like, well, I'm only spending about $3,000 in a month in terms of online spend. So I just cut that back and then put it towards, my, clients, which it seems like obviously a trusted referral instead of a cold call or warm call.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where are mainly your leads coming from? Is it that repeat and referral business?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And then like, is 8 transactions, is that 8 million? Is that 2 million? What's that?
Right now we're right at, I think, 3.5. 3.5. Yeah. So I actually had a closing yesterday, so that I might be over 4 now.
Okay.
So,
and then GCIs, you have 3,000 expense. What's the gross income coming in for 8 transactions?
Right now with the one that just closed, is probably putting us close to like $9,000-$10,000 a month right now.
Nice.
So, when I go back and like look at some of the spend, usually I'll do quarterly, kind of just a feeler, and then I'll really review it towards the end of the year, beginning of the following year. And usually my spend's not as high as I think it's going to be. Now, if that's from partner with lenders, business partners, whatever, for events, and you think that you're going to spend, $2,000-$3,000 for a big event, and I'm only spending $700 or so like that. But that's kind of like the pain point, I guess, is going back to you put everything into one basket, you put things into three. I know like all the coachings and online sources and stuff say, hey, pick three and then go and run with it.
Sure.
It's just, how much do you put towards one another? I mean, because the online leads are more of, I almost consider them at bats, because the more you have, the more chances you are to close one of them. But, how much is enough? Like, is your conversion rate 20 conversations to each close or whatnot?
Yeah. So your number one thing, you got 8 transactions, right? So like, obviously you can do more with Sphere and repeat and referral business.
Right.
It's going to go back, like digs into the question of how many people are in your database, what is your plan of action to hit them? But you want to focus on pillars. You don't want more than 3 pillars, right? Unless you can delegate that out. And so you have room for other pillars, but you definitely have room more in your repeat referral, sphere of influence game with 8 transactions. So tell us, like, what are you doing, daily, and how many people do you have in your database? What are you doing to drive that business?
Yeah, as of right now, have around 320, 330 in terms of what I'm going to call closed clients. Then outside of that, there's roughly another 50 to 75 trusted, I'd say, sphere of influence people that I'll touch. And then you have, the 2,500, 3,000 people in the actual CRM.
Wow. What are the stats you pulled up in the last podcast for how many you should get for each person in your database?
Yeah, it's like 7%. About 7% of your database is going to transact over the next year. So, if you have 2,500, you said it's not really your relationship bucket though. That's your lead bucket.
Yeah, you were saying relationship bucket was what, like 400, Tom?
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah. So if you had 350 in, that's 24 and a half transactions, right? So you're looking about 25 transactions you should pull out of your sphere this year, or that are going to transact, I would say, out of your sphere. You're not going to get 100% of them. To me, Tom, what I'm hearing is it's awesome, dude. I'm proud of you. You're basically doing everything right. I think, to me, it comes down to, like, now you got to get really fine tuned into the activity. That's where my gut goes, is you have the right things that you're doing. So now it's just a volume game. So what limits volume? Time, money.
Right. Yep.
So time and money are your limiters. And so the thing with referrals, 350, 400 people in your database, that's easy to hit. That's not going to keep you busy. So you need to grow that database, which means those 2,500 people, what is your metric per month of how many people you're adding to your relationship bucket? And that should be a metric that you are tracking, because what you focus on expands. So how do you get the 350 to where at the end of the year, we're in May right now, when we're, talking to you, how do you get it to where in December this year, you're at 800? What would that take to get 800 relationships, not just acquaintances, but relationships? And it's like, that's a metric I would track if I were you, to go, how do I get my bucket of referral and repeat business, as Steve is saying, relationships to grow? And that only comes from what you're saying, the at-bats, is you're calling these 2,500 people, which is fantastic. You're doing that. How many are you taking into the relationship bucket per month? Not the transaction bucket, right? Some will turn into transactions, some will not. Right. But how do you take those into the relationship bucket and grow that? Because you're doing the right things. So if you do, in my mind, if you focus on referrals, you focus on paid leads, you focus on maybe one other pillar, call it geo-farming or open houses or something like that. Right. Then you just try to grow this current bucket that you have from 350 to 800, and you'll scale.
What was our pillars for last year, like the number one lead sources?
Yeah, the one I was going to say for repeat referral is really, I guess, 2, but one we talk about often actually is reviews. How many reviews do you have?
On, I believe, Google, I think I might be crossing 20, 30. I honestly don't know. I know I got one in from this closing yesterday, so
nice.
That's good.
Yeah, I would focus in on that. That changed our world in getting to being the number one review team here, but having, I think we have over 360 reviews now. That is huge for just even people like calling you directly. So we'll get calls directly just because we're the top ranked person.
Yeah.
So that can add to like that bucket of getting more leads into your system. And it also just connects with your client that way. And then secondly, you said you do events. So how many events do you do a year?
Right now, we have usually 2 big events as a team, and then per, let's say, agent, we have about, it depends on the agent, but 4 is what I have planned for this year.
Great. Yep. So that's another thing that we changed. We do 4 a year, and our spend is really only about 4,000, 5,000 for the year on events, but it gives you that reason to call. And then we have like a full marketing plan for each event to get touches throughout. So using those events to re-talk to your sphere every quarter, like I'll call people up now and they'll be like, "Oh, you're calling about the event. I just got the postcard for it." Yep. 100%, man. How's everything going? You going to come this time? And it's an easy conversation because then you're not asking, what am I calling them about?
Yeah.
Right.
But there's something deeper here because like you have all of the right things happening. So you have events happening with your team. You've got 2,500 people in your database from like online leads and so forth. You've got 400 people in Sphere. So there's an obvious, like, we've got a problem with action. So
it's activity. Exactly.
Towards them because you should 100%, you should be able to rock out 24, 36 transactions from what you're telling me is in your database. And so that's why I'm just curious. Like I'm trying to dig into like, what are you doing daily on those activities? Because help you out. There's a couple podcasts you're going to have to listen to right after this with all of these pillars that we're talking about because we broke it down with Tim Bushnell. He's on our team and he goes over his. And then Nick, what was Nick's last name, Luke?
Harrison, I think, out of Michigan.
You have to listen to those 2 podcasts because it will break down their activities.
We can send them to you, Tom. We'll send you the podcast, but it's like I would get into, like, if I'm giving you my plan, it's exactly what Cody and Steven are saying. It's basically you're doing all the right things. You're not doing enough of them.
Yeah.
That is it. Now, obviously, I'm surface level because we don't have all the time in the world to dive into your business. But if I'm you, I would go, if you're making 50 calls a day, you should be making 100. If you're doing 12 touches to your sphere, you should be doing 24. Mm-hmm. It's like you've got to up your volume of your activities because I don't want you to change what you're doing of like where your focus is because you're spot on, man. Everything you're telling us, I'm just like, dude, that's why you're winning. That's why you are producing. That's why you have a team. That's like right. You are top you're probably top 1%, top 5% at least in the nation. So you've got it all, but you're not doing like Tim Bushnell, at least when, I'm coaching every week, it's 2 to 3 hours of prospecting every day. Right. It is like, and that's just one of the many activities that he's doing every day. And so I would just look at what is your activity that you've done from now till May every single day. What's your average of calls per day? What's your average of outreach? And then I would just double it.
That's right. Important.
I would literally just double it.
And what you talked about, like spending more, it doesn't sound like it's a lead issue.
That's right.
As far as where we're at, because you've got the leads. I mean, you got 2,500, 400 in your sphere of influence. You've got everyone you need to talk to. You just need to talk to them more.